just love the drama.
Maybe U-turns just ripped a few allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips, same chips.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
The sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday Week. My name is Dan Fudge, and I'm joined tonight by Simon, Ash, and John. My apologies if I sound a bit nasally this evening, but the cold has very much caught me up, and me stood for 2 hours in -1, -2 temperatures in West London was not high up on my things to do that would make me better. And listen, we've got a couple of games to get through. We'll smash through them, and then we've got plenty of talking points to get through. First one being what now seems a million years ago was New Year's Day against Preston. Simon, this was the lineup: Charles Palmer, Iorfa, Cooper, Otabeo, Amass, Thornton, Ingles, Banner, McNeill, and Cadamartri. Cadamartri getting an elongated start for the team, and Otabeo keeps his place after some questionable performances. Not really much to add about that, is there?
No, the team picks itself, and you've got 0.5 of a player for each position. It's picks itself, doesn't it? Ugbo seems to have disappeared. So who do you pick? It's cards every time, isn't it?
Yeah, very much so. But I tell you what, the elongated period of being in the team has done better for Cads. He's starting to play somewhat a little bit better. Just while I've got you, can you guys hear me okay? I feel like I'm having some internet issues with a little bit of freezing and stuff. Is everything all right?
Yeah.
All right, that's good to know. But if you are interested in learning more, don't forget to like and subscribe. I am supposed to say that, and I tend to forget most weeks. But yeah, I mean, going into this game, Simon, I'll give you a better topic to talk about than the lineup. But going into Preston away New Year's Day, what were your thoughts prior to the game?
It was the first time I'd not been to Preston in a couple of years. I decided to swerve it. New Year's Day. Good job I did, because I didn't go to bed till 4 o'clock that morning. That's another story. Swerved it. They'd beaten us at home, but I think we gave them a bit of a run for the money at home. So I thought that on the back of 2 draws, thought we'd acquitted ourselves well against Hull. It was a bit of a bore draw, wasn't it, against Blackburn. I thought we were in our half a chance. I thought we might get one. But the Preston seemed to be scoring, so I didn't think we'd win. Let's say that. But then again, I think I'd like to see our league on our score predictors, because I think I'm rock bottom on that in regards to my predictions. I normally get the fact that we lose wrong, but we score almighty badly.
We did have an update from Stevie. Ash is at the top of the league, and yes, you're propping up the bottom. John, you're second bottom. Holly, Stevie, myself, Charlie. But Ash is at the top there, which Ash's eternal optimism has started to pay dividends. Ashley,
Got to, haven't you? You've got to back the team. Like you've seen the results, but positive as you can be. It's Look, 2-0. I went for a 2-0 against Preston, but obviously Holly got it spot on. It's really bad doing these. I know we do them every week now, but it's getting really hard to get some sort of positivity. And we've seen that the last few. I know we've drawn a couple in the last 4 games, but put a message out in the group chat, and can you have your predictions in by whatever time or whatever it is? And it's like, oh, go on then. How can I eke out a little bit of positivity? And it's like, we might score 1 goal.
Yeah, that's pretty much the positivity going. By the comment there, Ash saying, is Ash refusing to shave until Wednesday get 5 in a row? Imagine that. You look like Fu Manchu by the end of the year. Can you imagine? You look like one of those wizened old Oriental wise men that people have to go to the top of a temple to go and see to learn how to do martial arts.
Do you reckon I should do that? What do you reckon?
Yeah.
No. Oh my God, no.
Yeah.
Shall I
You
go
look
for
like
it?
you're like one of the guitarists at ZZ Top.
Yeah. But then again,
I don't know what Mrs. Ash should make of that, but yeah, I reckon if we get enough likes and subscribes and all that, there we are. That's how you do it, innit?
Yeah.
Oh no, this is going to be a whole thing.
What's this guy name? United Strand, isn't it? United Strand.
Yeah.
We need John's on, innit? He'll come up with a good name.
To be fair. He probably will. Right then. So John got into a game that was always going to be tough. It was a decent start for Preston. They came at us, and McCann just went dancing through and slotted in the far corner. It was too easy, wasn't it?
Yeah, far too easy, and quite synonymous of the goals that we are conceding lately. It's just too easy. It's just they just cut through, and when you watch them back, it's just like, how is it? Look, mate, I know we're struggling, and Altibeos could get a bit of flack, although some people have him man in the match, which is beyond, that's another story. But the defending is poor. The outlook is grim, isn't it? And I think when it comes to the other end of the pitch, I think we've got probably the lowest, if you like, into that sort of thing, the XG and all that. It's just like 0.1 or something ridiculous if you're into that sort of thing. But just woeful in it all round, woeful everywhere.
Yeah, it's genuinely quite tough to watch at the minute. After what can be perceived as two positive results after Christmas, returning back from a 9-game ban, Simon was Milutinas Majic absolutely just coming in and smashing through for a second one. I thought there might have been a sniff of offside on this, but he was getting played on by Iorfa, who is also coming under some flack. And Otabeyu and Iorfa are starting to get some grief, and I wanted to discuss this evening, is that because they are constantly under the cosh, or is it that the level just isn't there?
I nearly filled in when he said, is it because, and then he said the word shit when he said, is it because they are, and then you were far more eloquent than my brain was working at the time.
I've been practicing it all week.
I think I put it on the group chat, didn't I, the other day when we were looking at this, is the fact is that if we were here this time last year, but not in the position it's in, we had the players. Those two players wouldn't be playing, would they? The only reason why they are playing is because there's no one to fill their boots. It is them or nobody. And this is the problem we've got, is they are simply not good enough. Question marks have been over Iorfa's head, and he played bit parts last season. This season, he's got to play every game. And Otabeyu is exactly the same. I mean, how old is he? He's only like in his early 20s, late teens, early 20s. There's a player in there, but is he good enough for the Championship? I'd have to say no. And the problem we've got is there's nobody to come in and replace these players. Cooper's now out injured by all accounts. We've got nobody to fall back on. And this is where we are across the entire pitch. And this is the heartbreaking thing, is that these lads just aren't good enough. And there isn't anybody waiting in the wings who's better than them, because there just isn't any players. We are threadbare. So we're stuck with them, and we can slay Otabeyu off as much as we can, as much as we want, but ultimately he isn't good enough for this league. He might get better, I don't know, or we might break him. Which is the sad thing, and that's where we are. That's where we are.
Because Ernie Weaver was looking really good, wasn't he? Up until his injury, he was like the shining sort of star in a sea of mess, really, wasn't he? And obviously losing him, we didn't have anything else to fall back on. And then the next things you're looking at are free agents. And there's the old saying, isn't there, they're free agents for a reason, and they've usually not played much football for a long time. And as we've seen now, with firstly Nathan Redmond and now Cooper going back to defence. Now Cooper's out for an extended period. It's just everywhere you turn, it's just a dead end, isn't it? We're just hitting brick walls everywhere, and it's just a grueling mess, really, on the side in general.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, especially that we're breaking these kids in early. And then you look at the long-term injuries that we had to Weaver, Geesey Kira, George Brown was out for an elongated period of time. You could even put Pierce Charles in that type of thing as well, you know, because they're getting these elongated, at such a young age, they're getting these elongated minutes that they normally got. It's really tough to take, which means as a result, we've been given special dispensation by the EFL to take on a couple of loans, but we can't pay anybody. So there is that. Ash, you know, the third one came in. I'm not going to spend any time on this game. The third one came in, and the only time we looked like we were going to score was an own goal from Lindsay as well when that went in. If I look at the statistics, because I know you like stats, Ash, you know, we've got the elongated ones here, where once again we had more possession. But if you look at the XG shots on target, we got battered, didn't we? It was just a beating. Now, there's a difference here between getting beat away at Preston 3-0 and getting beat away by QPR 3-0, which we'll get into a bit. But this is becoming a tough watch, isn't it?
Yeah. It is, yeah, it is, and we've said it for weeks and weeks, and a lot of Wednesday fans have been saying it as well. It's we are where we are for one reason only, and it's commendable to players. And I know we're on here slating them for being dog shit and whatever, and that New Year's swearing thing didn't last long, did it? That we can't do anything about it. We've just said you've got two centre halves in Otagbeo and Iofa that we know aren't at the level that we should be or need in the Championship, but we ain't got anyone else. You know what? John was talking about Ernie Weaver earlier, and I'm like, in one respect, oh God, having an injury that early in your career is awful. But you know what? Has it saved him? Because, like you said, would we have broke him? Would he have been subject to making a couple of mistakes? Because look, Otagbeo is still only 21, 22, so he's still relatively young, and he could improve. But imagine if that was Ernie Weaver, and I'm sure he'd have got a lot more slack from fans. But if he was like making mistakes every other game or every game, for his confidence as such a young guy, and he started off so well, it sounds awful, and I'm not saying that. I'm a little bit glad that he's not in the firing line of this. Because when he comes back fully fit for next season, I think he's going to be a fantastic centre half. But yeah, we said before about the defence, and we haven't got anything on backup. We've got nothing on the bench at all. But sometimes we've seen that Pedersen is reluctant to make subs. Like he gets up to 65, 70 minutes. And I know you don't want to change your centre halves for if you can help it, but sometimes you've got to see that players are struggling and it just needs a change. It just needs someone else coming in. So I think that's for me. It's a hard one, digging players out all the time, but it is getting a bit of a hard watch, and there's people not wanting to go to these games for that reason.
The trouble is, isn't there? Yeah, it's just at the moment it's a dead season, isn't it? It's literally like, if you've ever seen that film Weekend at Bernie's, and they're just taking him out to party night. It's just this dead guy in that, and we're just trotting out a dead team onto the pitch and trying to make a football match out of it. And it's just, everybody knows that we're going to lose, and we're going to probably lose like 2 or 3-0 and get an odd result here or there. But we knew at this time of year, with all the fixtures, all the pile up that you get at this time of year, team's dead on its feet after 65, 70 minutes. I just knew that it were going to be a bad run of fixtures, and it's just so hard. Like Ash says, it's just so hard because we're literally, hands are tied, aren't they? And even the EFL talking to us and saying, "Oh well, yeah," like, which we'll elaborate on, but there's still restrictions there as well, isn't there? So wherever you turn, it's just no, and hard as a fan to experience and watch. And credit to fans still taking a tremendous away followings on what is an absolute travesty of a season.
I think we just like having something to do, to be fair, going to these away games. It's nice just to get out, you know what I mean? Especially this time of year. The turnout at QPR was impressive for me. I looked about and thought, do you know what? I'm impressed by the amount of people that have turned up there. I thought, because QPR is a difficult place to go because that concourse is bloody awful. And for a midday kickoff on a Sunday morning, straight after Christmas. I was impressed. I really was. But we've had some comments here. So Ash has grown his beard until we get 5 in a row. We've got face pubes until 15 points. That's been suggested by Stu. We've also gone with Ash Rogers Growathon is now trending. And then John has come in with the goods once again and gone with the Wednesday whiskers. No shave till 5 in a row. I kind of like that. We've also had some actual proper comments about player analysis. Neon Brown's gone with, if we're doing actual player analysis, can I offer that I really like Nathan Redmond because he smiles a lot and has a lovely shiny head. Another one where we are, talking about follicle growth. So I tell you what, let's just get into let's get out of that and let's get into QPR. But let's get an advert out of the way.
Hold tight, kids, it's advert time. Hold tight, kids, it's advert time.
Okay, so like I said at the start, Sheffield Wednesday were in a midday kickoff on a Sunday, which is an awful time for a kickoff on a London away day, by the way. Absolutely terrible for everybody else. For me, it was mint because I walked there. But it was a tough one. And like I say, I was impressed by the turnout. Prior to this game, John, we had our predictions on. You went for 2-0. To QPR. Holly went 2-0. Well, God, we all predicted a loss, didn't we? And we just didn't think it was going to be that bad. Had it not been for the lapse of concentration towards the end, the 50% of us would have been correct in the scores there. But going into this, John, not very, what's the word? Optimistic.
No, not at all. Just the feeling. It's just we're in quicksand and we're not getting out, are we? And all we're doing is just sinking slowly. And to be honest, it's not an easy place to go to. It's a tight little ground. We've had us troubles away games in London before for some reason. I don't know why, but and I think they're pretty they were kind of like mid-table-ish before that victory, so I think they're just on the fringes of the playoffs now. So I don't think they're a good side. I don't think the Championship's particularly good this season, but I just thought they're just going to have enough to win the game. And really, they won it at a canter, didn't they, Dan, to be honest, mate? It weren't much of a contest, really. I think, again, we had very few shots, very few on target. Have some nice possession here and there, but it's just semantics, isn't it, really? I mean, they won at a stroll, really, so I weren't confident beforehand.
There was a really fun bit where we got 3 shots on goal on the bounce, or it might have just been 2 shots, and we started singing 2 shots away, ole ole, 2 shots away, ole. It was that difficult to watch. But oh God, I'm going to come to you again, Simon. But we'll move on quickly. But the starting lineup was Charles Fusiri, Iorfa, Otabeo, McGee, Amass, Thornton, Ban, and J-Lo, McNeill, Kadamashri. McGee getting a start again. Did he start against Preston? He didn't, did he? So, no. Yeah, McGee getting a start. I like this kid, and I can't wait for the inevitable 3-month injury he's probably going to get.
No, he came on, didn't he? Was it Blackburn, wasn't it? Cooper, I think, got injured in warm-up and he came in. And I thought it was absolutely superb against them. I have only watched the goals from yesterday. I did not watch the game. I chose to watch a documentary about the Moors murderers over watching Wednesday play QPR. I thought that'd be more upbeat than watching Wednesday. And that's what I did. So I watched the highlights today, of which showed no shots by Wednesday on goal and just basically showed the 3 goals and an attempt by QPR against us. And that was it, full stop. So that sounded like it was a really good game. But I thought McGee got caught a couple of times yesterday, but unfortunately, the players around him aren't the sort of players to lift him. They aren't the sort of players to talk. Iorfa's not a sort of commanding central defender. Otabeo doesn't appear to be. So the poor lad he's left there in a back 3 of nobody talking to him, nobody directing him, nobody captaining him because the captain's somewhere else on the pitch. Trying to run the game by himself. And I think he will be a very good player, but he needs better players around him.
Just based on what you were saying just there, Simon, there was a question from Matt Pinder there who said, controversial question, however, one that has to be asked. Does Bannon get away with lack of positional discipline? He leaves such a big hole running around like a headless chicken. I feel that Bannon has been afforded a lot of positional free rein when he's surrounded by better players. I just feel like, given the cosh we're under, I feel like it's just noticed a lot more. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I do feel from what I saw against Blackburn is that we've got too many teams who, once they get the ball, just basically run straight through midfield. And we've got Ingleson when he's playing. He's obviously given this role of trying to get into attacking positions, which leaves any sort of defensive hole in the middle of the field. And Bannon, again, I'm not quite sure where he's playing. And like you say, I think he's been given this free rein before because he's had people like Byers at the side of him, or Volks by the side of him, players who defend Kieran Lee, people who can hold the defence and are a little bit more disciplined in regards to where they start and finish on the pitch. He's given a bit more free rein. I mean, has it the fact that he can, in some eyes, do no wrong, gone to the fact that now he feels he can pretty much do anything because he can do no wrong? They're taking some amount of discipline and saying, I need to sit a bit deeper here sometimes. But then again, he's not the most defensive player, is he? He never has been.
He's a very good quarterback, but when if there isn't somebody there making the tackles, he's not exactly a physical player, Barry, and he'll be the first to admit it, right? But I feel like, given the cosh we're under, it might be worth taking a look at how we deploy him and how we deploy the players around him. There's a few comments here, Ash. We've got John Ackroyd saying some of our senior players are making a lot of mistakes and just chucking their hands up in the air. You have to feel for these young players. Like Remand having to stop our captain getting on at kids when we conceded the third goal. Christ, we are in a bit, and I know you've expressed that before in a number of times. Craig Haywood's gone with, and I feel like this is starting to shine up a lot, especially when it comes to the timing of substitutes as well. Controversy. How much is this down to Pedersen's tactics too, with the constant tippy tappy across the back instead of just doing the basics and defend? I feel like there is a real rein on this team, Ash, pulling them back to just sort of stop the goals going in rather than attacking. You know, like Harry Redknapp when he had Portsmouth attack from the front. You know what I mean? Kept them under the cosh. Had players like Mercer and Berger and Nemanic. You know what I mean? Players like that, where it was just like, right, let's just go at them. Let's just go at them and do that, just to try and make them second guess themselves. We've gone the other way, haven't we?
Yeah, definitely. I feel all this. I know Craig, and we've spoke to Craig lots and everything. It's I feel that the tipping tapping around the back is not much of an issue for me, because we've got to try and create something. And if passing it through the back is opening space up for people to move forward, and Bannon to get on the ball and try and do something, because we haven't got any creative players. And even to go to that, Bannon's creativity is being hampered quite a lot as well. I think what's he got? 2 goals and 2 assists, I think, this season, something like that. Now, that from your supposedly most creative player, if you're a stats wanker, is not great output, is it? If you look on it on a piece of paper like that. Yes, we know what he does on the pitch and on all that. So the tapping around, and you see it in the game all the time now, and it goes back from the keeper, and we know we've got one of the best keepers in the league with his feet. We know that. So he is coming into that centre half position and having his say with the ball. But it's just no creativity. It's just nothing, is it? They pass it around and then they go forward at one. They come back. They're in a good position, third of the pitch, and it seems it comes backwards. That is the bit that's frustrating for me, is we seem to, against QPR, we got in some great positions, but for lack of ability, lack of any sort of confidence, they're just either not taking a pop or not putting that third final ball into somebody up front. If it's Kadamata, if it's Lowe, if they've not got confidence in them guys up front at the minute. I really don't know what it is. It's frustrating as that someone sat there on watching this game, and fair play, you mentioned it, Dan, all the supporters that went at 12 o'clock on the QPR on a Sunday.
Mate, I didn't expect it.
It was fantastic fans, as always. We've said it for years about fans travelling, but that's next level at minus God knows what. Not the points. I'm on about the temperature. But yeah, that's the thing for me. The lack of creativity, the lack of chances, the lacking of taking of chances as well. So it's.
Are they being coached to? Because, like you said, in those last two games, it shared possession. We had majority of possession. Well, we had over 50% of possession. Are they being coached to keep the ball? Because while ever the opposing team hasn't got the ball, it's unlikely they're going to score. And is it this case of, because we've seen it a few times now, Norwich in particular, where we were the better team against Norwich, and we never went for the juggler and killed them off. Going 1-0 up, we never went in there and killed them off. And the same against Preston. We scored early on, we scored again, and then we just didn't go for it. And I thought Blackburn again were a great team, and every time we got into a position where we got a chance of creating something, we passed back. And is it that case of they're being coached to keep the ball as much as they can?
I tell you what, Simon, that's a wonderful point. If I may, there was a great bit on Sunday where we had the opportunity. Amass had broke down the left hand side. It went back to the edge of the box. Then it went back to the centre mid. Then it went back to Otabayo, and then all of a sudden Charles has got it, and you could hear the crowd rumbling with it. You're like, oh, for God's sake. And I understand, right? I understand football's a more technical game than hoofball nowadays, but we don't have any big players, and if we're just going to hoof it up front, who's it going to go to? Based on what Ash was saying earlier on, and I know that if we're passing it back, we're trying to unpick the team a little bit. But I would just like to see just have a dig. I think McNeill had one in the second half that just made me go, there you are, have a dig. All right, it hit somebody in the head behind me, but at least we had a pop. You know what I mean? There was one where even Bannon kind of hesitated, and he should have had a dig. It kind of opened up in front of him, and it didn't. But we've had a couple of comments here. John Wakefield said, I just think some poor sod has to put the highlights package together every week. Imagine having to do a podcast about it every week and all. Matt Davies said Ruben in, so we'll get rid of Pedersen, get Amorim in. Stu Williams said we set up for damage limitation. I'd rather us lose 10-0 and have a go and only concede 2 because we're scared to attack. Let's go down swinging. That's what I want to see. I must admit, I want to go 3 cops to the I want to go hell for leather on it. And then Jay Bloggs has said, what pisses me off is how often we give the ball away, especially with stupid back heels. We do play very confident to say where we are in the league. And then Matt Talbot, just based on the atmosphere and stuff like that, I think the start of the season when it was all together, I feel that's all gone. The players have given up, or the fans have given up. I think we're a month past the date that we said we were going to have the preferred bidder status. That only came about on Christmas Eve. And we're starting to unrest a little bit. There's some unrest happening, isn't there? There's some moans and groans that we wouldn't have said before. And on the back of that, we're getting comments like this, where people are going to over-scrutinise things. It says, I think Bannon needs to be dropped. He's having a negative effect on the youngsters. He's had his time. It's time for us to give the youth a try. Our results can't get any worse. I don't disagree. I think Bannon's on fumes right now. And I think that because he's such a winner, some of the things he says can really pull the confidence out of a young kid. What do you reckon, Ash?
I would totally agree with that, Dan, if we had somebody. Because this probably would have been the ideal situation to be giving Bannon come off at 60 or have midweek off and play someone. But who would you put in instead of him? Because we needed to be looking for, we've been needed to for 3-4 years to be looking to a player that's going to be filling them boots. At the end of the season, no doubt, probably.
We haven't been looking. We should have been looking for 5 years ago.
But this is it. A kid in the reserves. Rio Shipston is big, but he's not good enough. Thornton is one who's took that mantle at the minute. Who's had a couple of good games, but there's no one of that sort of Bannon of 6-7 years ago, that creativity, that engine, that one that was going to do it. And that should have been this season. They should have been going, right, Bannon, appreciate everything. You know you're only going to be doing, okay, 60 minutes, then put that mantle on, someone half an hour to go or is going to start in the cup. But we can't afford that because we've got no one to be that. So he has to play because there is just no one. So I would agree with that in a different situation that he would need to be dropped, or not dropped, rested, or had his game time managed, shall we call it? I think that's probably the way to put it. But yeah, it's a hard one for him because he has been so integral, and it is coming to a point of obviously we wanted to make wholesale changes to like 10, 12 players. The likes of him, Palmer, Iorfa are going to be the ones that need to be changed as well, as much as it's going to hurt a lot of fans because they are, maybe not Iorfa, but the first two are stalwarts, aren't they, at Hillsborough?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'll tell you what, let's get into this QPR game, John. Burrell was looking lively right from the start. It was weird to see Ben Hamer being the first choice keeper for QPR as well. He looked really assured as well, which is quite. I don't think he had much to do. Don't get me wrong, but looked really assured. But Burrell was looking really tasty. I was screaming at that lino far too much on the left hand side as the fans were looking at it because he was in the sun puddle and he should have had a cap on. And I was convinced this goal was offside. Turns out it weren't.
No, unfortunately not. No, it turned out it weren't. And another one which on reflection, on reviewing, looks like really poor defending once again, doesn't it? And this just too easy again, isn't it? And again, they just look sharp, look lively. And any kind of player running at them with any kind of trickery or pace or sort of any guile on that lot. We do wilt a bit. Iorfa and Otabeo don't look comfortable too in that back four. They just don't look the part at all. And yeah, it was just all too easy, and it set the tone really again. And it was a relatively early goal. You're on the back foot. You know the team struggles to score goals, and you fall behind, and it's always a mountain, isn't it? This season.
It's going to be a mountain the entire season, but I Simon, you mentioned you were watching a disturbing documentary, a murder documentary, and about it being better viewing. I honestly, this was truly one of the worst games of football I've ever had the misfortune to watch in -3 degree weather. I couldn't feel my feet by the end of it, and they have to go to that shitty concourse that they have at QPR as well. That some bright spark has decided to put 2 barriers down the middle of it now. So where the concession stands are, there's like 2 barriers now. Oh God, it's awful. It is awful back there. But really terrible game of football. So halftime came and went, and then Sheffield Wednesday came out a bit better in the second half, and then Burrell got injured, who was looking like I said, like one of their tastiest players, and then they brought on that sideshow Bob looking MFer, and it was too easy for him to run through. However, I mean, bear in mind we've gone like an hour without any goals. We had a couple where we gave it a go, but I thought his first goal, Coley, his name is, isn't it? I thought his first goal, there was still a lot to do, and I'll go to Ash about my next point, but I thought he finished it really well.
It was a good finish. I thought it would be, oh God, Pierce Charles probably was millimetres away from it, getting his fingers to it, wasn't he, as he dived across. But again, it was just too easy through the middle and
straight through.
And then watching the defenders, it was almost like they were chasing shadows. They didn't seem to have any player positional awareness about them whatsoever. And this is what it seems to be becoming more and more of. It is, oh dear, I don't know. I keep saying to myself, somebody has got to be better than Dominic Iorfa in our squad. There has got to be a better defender. I mean, surely enough, Palmer will be better suited to, because at least Palmer will get in. And I just find that Dom just gives up. He just seems to loses his man, and then that's it. Well, I've lost him. And if all the players, sorry, Dan, of all the players who I wanted to stand up and lead the team this season, would be Iorfa, because he's been with us donkey's years. Yeah. I mean, he has had some really good games for Wednesday, but unfortunately now it's almost like he has just given up, and it's almost like, well, I've got nobody pushing me for my position, so I can get away with being dog shit every game. And he seems to be winning that award, really, because
I think with Iorfa, he's always got away with a lot because of his pace, hasn't he? So when we moved him from right back to centre half, I think a lot of the thinking of that was because he was quick, and obviously we got the chant fastest man in Yorkshire and all that, although never gives the ball away. There's a bit of, to say it's tongue in cheek, to say the least. But I think he still gets away with playing as a centre half a lot because of that pace. But pace is only one thing. You know, if you're not mentally reading the game and you're not winning your aerial duels and you're being out muscled, then pace don't mean anything, does it? So I think it's just. And for once as well, he's managed to. I think he's played more games this season than he's done in any of the previous campaigns with us. Thrust into the situation that we are. But he may be pushing through the pain barrier himself. But yeah, he's looked exposed, and I think he's in there. Like I say, he doesn't look comfortable with Otabeo. But yeah, I still think he gets away with a lot and gets played because of that pace that he has. But it's not really. It's irrelevant this season because there's just other mistakes all over the pitch, isn't there? So. Yeah,
we had somebody pick up on the fact that Amass gave the ball away for that second one, and when I tell you that the second goal, Coley's first, was against the run of play, we actually had a good spell on top. We'd had a couple of shots on goal. It looked like we were going to get back into it, and then when I say it took the puff out of us. I don't mean it in a derogatory term. It absolutely blew the wind out the entire team. As soon as that goal went in, fuck this, we're going. You know what I mean? There was 10 minutes left, and all of a sudden you saw people filtering out and all the rest of it. John, you're getting a load of abuse. Speak up, John. John, have you been kidnapped? John's trying to keep his voice down because the kids are sleeping in the next room, so we'll have to. You know what I mean? Let's not give him too much grief. He's come on this evening. Just like the team have to dig deep to turn up for Sheffield Wednesday on a reduced amount of money, playing for relegation. John has to turn up as well and talk about this. So we can't criticise the players and we can't criticise the presenters. Ash, go on. I know you've got plenty to say about this.
Is it time, or is it controversially to say that it was Pierce Charles's fault for all three goals? How can you get beat on your near post for all three goals? Yes, I know the third one he lashed it, didn't he? That Coley just absolutely lashed it. So yeah, maybe not. But his first goal, the second, he shouldn't be getting beat from that far away from his near post.
No, not from that angle neither.
And for all that I said earlier about him being absolutely fantastic with his feet, which he is, and his distribution is great. Surely your first job as a goalkeeper is to stop the round thing going and hitting the net thing. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's going to be. I'm going to be hammered for this, no doubt. And he has got so much potential as a Northern Ireland international. He is, but it's just when things aren't going right for you, it just highlights everything else. And a couple of times in our LMS chat, there's a couple of guys and girls that say if that was Horvath, he would have got hammered for that. So it's like, yeah, it's if you're gonna criticise a third choice goalkeeper from Cardiff, you could for a mistake, and the Northern Ireland international number one makes the same mistake, you've got to criticise them as well. And it's hard, it really is, because I'm being antsy and picking shit out of a very, very good young goalkeeper, but that's what we're here for, isn't it? We're here to talk about these things, and unfortunately, I feel that he was quite lacking in them goals.
Very similar mistakes, aren't they, to what Horvath was making? Is it something that we got to have a look at the goalkeeping coach? Because obviously the goalkeeping coach has changed since Danny Roll's period. I don't know who the goalkeeping coach is now. But Horvath was making very similar mistakes, of which I don't think Charles was last season when he had the run at the end of the season, and then obviously he's been injured for some time. And is it a case that the injury might be linked to it as well? Plus, also practicing those sort of shots, because we've conceded a lot. There were similar shots against Preston, and prior to that, prior to the can't remember we played before Hull when we got beat, but again beaten at the near post. So there's a
Watford as well.
There's a pattern emerging there.
Well, I tell you what, look, normally, after Ash was just speaking there, I was about to say, hey, Ash, my role here is to say the controversial things on the internet. But then we've got Jack Fox-Hill saying Charles has struggled with a low near post for a while. Stu Williams says first two, and his face tells you he knew it. Jay Bloke's been a bit more measured and said young lads will make mistakes. I agree. Still a mistake, but yeah, I agree. Craig Haywood says sell him. Bids are in for him. And then you talking about distribution and stuff like that. And Jack Fox-Hill went, it's what happens when you play Xabi in goal. That's not the worst thing in the world. And then Matt Davies said, I broke my shoulder twice, so I know how weak it can be. So I believe he's probably scared to jump full force on it, but he needs to be doing this. If not, there's no point in being a goalkeeper, which is a solid point, to be fair. Go on, Ash.
Sorry, I know Jay Blogg said young lads will make mistakes. Totally. We've just on about Otegbear. We've mentioned other people but how many times do you make the mistake or have a perceived weakness, which it being your near post could be a perceived weakness for a goalkeeper, till you stop making those mistakes or giving those chances? A goalkeeper is always going to get beat at his near post by a fluke or whatever. That's going to happen. But like you've just picked up on 3 occasions then. And then there were 2 occasions definitely in this game, and before that he has been done at his near post. So I know we'll get onto it. I know there's been supposedly bids coming for him and all that good stuff. So he might not be here next season to learn from them mistakes. But you've got to give it, and then obviously hopefully he learns from that as well.
Well, we've got our first discourse in the comments, ladies and gents, about the goalkeeping coach. Craig Haywood said that Flahaven is the current goalkeeper coach, but Matt Talbot says goalkeeper coach is Barney Owl. So, stay tuned on that one. We'll get to the bottom of that. But anyway, as it stood, Sheffield Wednesday were 3-0 losers. A scoreline that I would be controversial even say that flattered QPR, because they offered absolutely virtually shit all. They were awful. They were bloody awful. They had 2 massive geezers. Again, I've said this phrase before, 2 big 8-dimple Lego bricks at the centre-back in Dunn and Cook. And it became very apparent how short our team are whenever they got a corner. And I believe they got something like 5 corners, and you could absolutely tell that they got excited about it. They do play blood and thunder football at Loftus Road because it is quite small. But I tell you what, let's get into some adverts, and then we can talk about something a bit more. Oh God, I was going to say upbeat, but that's not right.
Don't go anywhere too far. It's only time for the adverts.
Now, ladies and gents, as it's January, the transfer window is now wide open, and for some weird twist of fate, some people are keeping an eye on our players, and there's been a few rumours knocking around. The first one and the biggest one was the player we were just talking about then, which is going to be tonight's Hot Topic. One of the biggest ones that we've got, one of the big ones talking about, is that Piers Charles has been earmarked for purchase by Strasbourg. I believe they've put in a bid. They've actually tabled the bid. I don't know how much the bid is, and we also know that Strasbourg is the feeder club for Chelsea, having the same ownership, has been well documented with the appointment of Liam Rossini. Has that gone through yet? I believe it was in London today. I don't know if that's actually been announced, but it's fairly a done deal. It's fairly settled. I think the question is, chaps, is would you sell him? Would you cash in? I appreciate we might have to shelve a few things because there's obviously a point where we may have to sell him, given how long the takeover process has gone. Because obviously you've got these mega rich people delaying the process and quite frustratingly delaying the process. So just on we've been here before. Let's say it's a decent amount of money. Do you cash in? Simon, I'll come to you first.
as it stands at the moment, due to where the club sits and the elongated administration process, then yes, you've got to sell him because we need an amount of money. With the crowds have dropped, so obviously turnover will be dropping per match. So we've still got to pay players. We've still got a lot of income coming in, and unfortunately, obviously it depends. If they've offered £8.50 and a couple of bottles of Vimto, then you know the Vimto is appreciated, but the £8.50 in, you know. So it's got to be an amount that will keep the club running for the next 2 months theoretically, and maybe help bring in some loan players. But if you do that, you've got to have a significant sell-on clause.
Yes, that's the most important thing.
And this is where, I mean, we will find out. But young players have gone recently, and I believe there wasn't any sort of sell-on clauses to the players like Masaba and Bisama and players like that. So you've got to look at that. The guy's going to want to move on. His brother plays for, you know, I think his brother's got high aspirations, even though he's actually playing for a mid-table championship side at Southampton. But unfortunately, I think we're not in a position where we can go no, keep him, because we need money to keep the club afloat while we're in administration.
John, I will give you some subsequent information as well, because Jay Bloke's brought it up. The funds, the money, if we receive any money for Pierce Charles, will go to the preferred bidder. Now, this is preferred bidder. This is not somebody over the line. This is not somebody who's got the club. So the money would go to the preferred bidder if any comes in. And I feel like that's still interesting. But Simon raises a really good point there. Do we just let him go? Let's not hold him back here.
Yeah, I think there's an element where you've got to say, is Pierce Charles? He's too good for League One, isn't he? Do we really need him in League One? Well, he's a really good keeper, and it would serve as well there. But in terms of his career progression, he's not really going to want to be going into League One. He is probably our most saleable asset. I think that's there's no argument there. Like Simon said, with the financial side of things, I was under the impression, without going down a different tangent there, that the deposit paid by any prospective new owner was enough to keep the club running for the rest of the season. So, if that's the case, then what kind of, you may as well, you know, if we do get a fee for him and you are willing to sell, can we use that money in January? Are we allowed? Is a restriction being lifted for January? So
it depends. It depends if the preferred bidder actually gets the club. It was Joe Cran's article that brought it up, if I remember rightly. I feel like it would be good for the long term if the preferred bidder, if James Ford does come in. You know what I mean? But what if he don't?
Yeah.
Where's the money gone?
Yeah, I think you've got to. Yeah, I think it's inevitable he's going to have to move on. Does selling him keep us from getting relegated? Absolutely not. We're down anyway, aren't we? But what you want to do, and like Simon said there, is make sure there is some sort of sell-on clause. I think Anthony Nasaba's just gone to Fenerbahce as well, so he's another one. But we've lost money on. Dele Bashir, who's probably one of the more higher profile ones, ended up at Lazio. You know, I know you didn't sell him, but you kind of let his contract run out, didn't you? So you've just got, if you've got a young asset there, and it's inevitable they're going to move on, and the position that we're in, get the money in, but try and get a nice sell-on clause, 10-15%, or depending on where he goes, sell him and loan him back for the rest of the season, and that way you've got kind of like, you've still got the player, but you've also got the money as well.
Yeah, not a bad shout. Go on, Ash.
I was going to say, like, if the preferred bidder has put their deposit down of however many million, and he's put in saying, I'm going to buy it 30 million, but then basically you're selling the biggest asset the club has got, Pierce Charles, is he really going to want to still pay 30 million? He's going to say, well, I've lost out on a potential £5 to £10 million player there. I'm going to give you 25 million now. So there's other implications, isn't there, of selling him, not just the obviously we'll get a couple of quid back. And I don't know. I didn't quite understand what you meant about the money going to the preferred bidder, because it wouldn't, would it? It'd go to the administrators to run the club. The preferred bidder is just a name. He's got no say in the club or anything until. I'm
sure I read that in an article. I'm sure it was in Joe's article. I tell you what, while you gestate about whether you would sell Pierce Charles. I'll put a couple of comments first up, Ash. Matt Talbot says the trouble is we don't have a professional keeper other than Charles, which is correct. And they've offered a free dartboard with the ex-chairman's face on it. And if you hit the bullseye, it shouts out, "I do my best, I do my best," which is quite useful. And Jack the Fox Allow said Charles isn't a League One goalkeeper. Those forwards will clatter him every week. There is an element of him being a bit too fancy for League One, which is obviously something to consider as well. But yeah, what would you do with it, Ash?
I don't think we've really got a choice, have we? Because I don't think he'll want to play in League One. He's an international goalkeeper with aspirations of obviously playing probably Championship or lower end Premier League in a couple of years. We've seen what's his name. Trafford went to Man City, probably a backwards move for him because he's not playing, is he? But he's gone there. So. You'd have to not get rid, that sounds awful, but you'd have to make the business decision of selling him with percentage of sell-on clauses and some other clauses for international appearances or so many appearances and make it bulletproof that you're going to get an income in the next couple of years as well, not just in the short term to pay the wages, but in the long term to make it a good business decision. I don't know what the EFL would say to that because basically we're putting it into we're selling a 19-year-old goalkeeper and then we've got an 18-year-old on the bench. Are they going to let us bring in another? It wouldn't be an emergency goalkeeper, would it? Because we're putting ourselves in that position by selling him. So I don't know what the implications of that would be. Don't know, mate. I personally. I'd rather get some money for him than leave it in the. But if he's still got a couple of years left, I'd keep him till the summer and get rid of him then.
Yeah, I think you might be right. I still can't find the article. I thought it was Joe's article talking about Pierce Charles, but I'm sure I read somewhere that the money went to the preferred bidder because I believe a loan went into the club in order to keep the club afloat. I can't. Do you know what? I'm speculating. I'll do some actual proper research on it next week. But I was the guy that was doing the stats for the QPR game this week, so you're welcome on that one, kids. But there was another. There was another thing brought up as well that Charlie McNeill might be on his way out. There are a number of clubs looking at Charlie McNeill. I'd drive him myself. John?
I'm not too sure about that one because other than that game at home at Hillsborough when he got to get 2 goals, he's not shown a lot really. He's had a bit of a position change, hasn't he, under Henrik Pedersen? He's made him more of a just sitting behind the strikers kind of player, and it has improved his game. But I wouldn't have thought it's to the level where there's other championship clubs looking at him, and I find that a bit surprising. But I'm not a scout. If they're seeing something I'm not, then fair play. But he's not a player that I would immediately turn around and say, "Oh no, we need to keep him." Like said Charles, in an ideal world, I'd like to keep Charles, but the situation that we're in, we'd have to let him go. I think, in my opinion. But McNeill, I've no issue whether they sell him or keep him. To be fair.
What about you? What about you, Simon?
If you asked Ethan, he'd say wait till February and hope he'll pass his driving test, and then he'll drive him. But I don't know. When he came in with a huge fanfare, didn't he, at the start of last season? Went over to Austria with Danny Roll, and then he was underused by Roll. He looked good in some games during the sort of the games we won at Grimsby, and he scored a great goal, didn't he, at Grimsby away, I think. I seem to remember last season in the Carabao Cup. And I thought there's a star there, and then he never faded and never came into the side. And is it hard to call him crap now because he's in a side that's struggling? It's a difficult one because he shows so much promise. But again, you've got 2 things here, haven't you? You've got if he goes, then it's releasing money for a wage for somebody else. If they're going to pay for him, then it's an amount of money coming into the club. Although I can't imagine he would command a very high fee, 250,000, 500,000, maybe. I don't know.
I think somebody could potentially do a better job with him. You know what I mean? I think there's a player in there that's clearly got some confidence and has had a decent upbringing in terms of when he was a teenager. But
I think he's got huge confidence in his own abilities. The problem is he's very, very lightweight, and what we've seen is that he's quite easily dispossessed, and that's, bless you, and that's not the player we need in the current quagmire that we're in. As a player that can be easily dispossessed. You know, is he somebody who could play in League One? Probably not, because the shit kickers that are in League One. So, and that's where he's spiralling down to, League One. So, in the grand scheme of things, if you look at it in that respect, then maybe he's not the player to have, you know, for what we need next season, because we are going to need blood and guts next season to get out of that League One, aren't we?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Ash, have you got much to add?
Not a great deal. Is he going to keep us up? No. If we sell him, is he going to keep the lights on? No. I'd keep him for League One. But that's it, purely because of who knows what's going to happen next year with players bringing in now. We just don't know. So if he's under contract, we're not going to get millions for him, and I doubt we'll get much of a sell-on clause on it. So I'd keep him and just see what happens next season.
Yeah, very much so. Very much so. Now, there's also been some talk from about the takeover as well. Now, Rob Staton had an interview that's been live on BBC Radio Sheffield with Clive Betts. Now, I'm going to put my measured radio presenting voice on here. Rob Staton has been speaking to local Sheffield councillor Clive Betts, and Clive Betts has urged the club and the preferred bidders to release some more information, because people apparently have been contacting Clive Betts asking him to see if he wants to put up some money as part of the consortium, and that doesn't bode well. Now, a couple of things here. What a load of old shit is one. And two, why would you be asking Clive Betts to put money into a consortium? Now, you know, obviously the comments are what they are, and the fan base is so divided right now, and everybody wants news, and everybody, you know, wants to consume what's going on. But, you know, one of the comments there was, "Where's Chris Wakefield? He's in trouble." And we had all those, screen grabs from WhatsApp conversations and all the rest of it. I didn't see anything in that WhatsApp conversation, in what was the personal conversation, if real, was anything to be concerned about. And the second one was, where's Chris? Is on holiday. You know what I mean? It's just on holiday. I don't know what to tell you. And then but he's not the only person working on this account. What, you know what I mean? Why is he the poster boy? And how do we know that the people contacting Clive Betts aren't just some people with a bit of free time? You know what I mean? It says people. It doesn't say James Board has been contacting him for any kind of money. And bear in mind, Begbie's trainer have gone through no less than 14 times when they've taken clubs through this administration process. If they're picking a preferred bidder, do you think they're going to pick as their preferred bidder the guys who are going cap in hand to a local councillor? Come on now, guys. Come on, let's just wait until it's all done. There's non-disclosure agreements all over the place, Si.
I was going to say that, NDAs. So we've got a Labour MP here who is probably hearsay, because he's saying he's heard that boards approaching businesses for money because he hasn't got money to put into the club. And now this is a guy who should know better. You know, this is a guy who knows the process. He's been an MP in Sheffield for forever. I don't understand why we're stirring this pot up when rational, intelligent people know there's an NDA in place. That the fact that Begbies have seen through, like you said, 14 of the clubs that have gone into administration. They are no chapter and verse. This isn't a backstreet company that have been employed to do this. This is they've been chosen because they specialise in football clubs that have gone into administration. So they have
sorry, Simon. My apologies to interject. Craig A was just corrected me on the word in there, because I've not got it right, because I'm not listening to a Rob Staton article with Clive Betts personally, if I'm honest. But Craig A would said, slight correction, Clive has not been asked to put money in. Clive has been told by two individuals that they've been asked to put money in, which he finds alarming. Craig's also gone on to say it's still BS, in my opinion. But we don't know who these people are. What if they're multi-fucking millionaires that have been talking to Clive Betts? Or is it all a load of alarmist shite?
It's almost like, because he's an MP, he doesn't get away with the fact of, if it's the same as a bloke in a pub whose dog's cocked its leg up against a lamppost outside Begbie Turner's and it overheard somebody asking for some money. You know, this is where we're going with this. We've got to start looking a little bit more, you know, intelligently about this. There's an NDA in place. And as I said, I think on the last time when I had a rant, when I was a bit drunk on the last podcast I did, until that person or that group of people are stood in the centre circle holding the Sheffield Wednesday scarves above their head in front of a stand that says NS on it, just pack it in. Just pack it in. It will, when it happens, it happens. We're in a very privileged position here as a football club. Any other business by now would have been wrapped up, closed, doors shut, finished, right? Any other business. There's been massive businesses that have gone to wall over the years, and Sheffield Wednesday in a privileged position that, through the history and the fact that they're a football club and the fact they're protected by the EFL, etc., and where we stand in regards to being one of the oldest professional football clubs in the world, we are a viable asset. Despite the fact that nobody's going nowadays, we haven't actually got a product that's any good to buy. You know, this is a football club. We're very privileged to where we are. We will get bought by somebody. The club will not fold. It will not be allowed to fold, because if we fold, there'll be a number of other clubs that will fold in the next 10, 15 years. You know, this is, we just, I mean, why is this stirring the pot? Why is Radio Sheffield, why is a certain person forever negatively reporting on a club that supposedly he supports, right? Why is a Labour MP getting involved? There's far more important issues in this country to get involved with than chuffing Sheffield Wednesday, and two people have mentioned to them that they've had a phone call from somebody saying that they want some money because they haven't paid into the clubs, they haven't got a pot to piss in. You know, why is somebody writing AI? I mean, the whole Chris conversation on WhatsApp, I read it and I'm like, bullshit. I mean, it was just AI bullshit. I mean,
but what even if it weren't, what was that bad? What was so bad that was in it? It was just people shooting the shit in what they thought was a safe environment.
Can you imagine? I would imagine that Chris is on a fairly decent salary, right? He's a very professional man. I would imagine that if something like that came out, he would be down the road. I mean, I seem to remember at some point there was rumours going around he had been sacked. You know what? I think there's certain points where internet companies need to like ring these people and say, sorry, mate, I'm switching your internet off because everything you're putting out is complete bollocks. Just cut them off. Just cut them off.
Yeah, they need to make podcasting equipment more expensive, to be fair, a lot of the time. Go on, John.
I think it's just, you know, no two takeovers will ever be the same. We've seen takeovers go through relatively quickly, and we've seen takeovers that have dragged on. I think United's takeover took months, you know. So it's all in the administrator's process. The problem is people want news and they want it now, and they want to sensationalise everything. So Chris Wigfield's being kicked off at team, and he's gone to America. He's going to try and tap the Waltons up now. If you know, depending on who you believe and all this, like, you know, it's all fake rumours and all BS and that. And it's just like, I think he gets a lot of flack because he's a Wednesday, and it's like, there's this, we're all Wednesday, aren't we? But then we turn on each other because it's like people posting fake news on social media, and then people run into Radio Sheffield with these fake stories, and then they're trying to clarify it, and then they're getting flack, and it's just like, why not just chill out and let it play out? Because, you know, it's a proper professional company that's got a hold of us right now. We've done this countless times. It's going through the right channels, but it just takes time. There's a lot of complications we own in Sheffield Wednesday. I mean, you know, look who we've just taken, you know, the last owner, and all the things that need correcting to get this ship on an even keel again are probably endless. So it's going to take a while, and people just need to just realise it's not going to affect us this season anyway, regardless. There's no miracle coming. We're not going to stay up. We're going down anyway. Just let it play out, however long it takes, as long as we're in the right hands, and there's a proper football plan there with people that know what they're doing, and playing other people that know what they're doing, and a structure and a CEO and a director of football, whatever it may be that comes along with the right people. That's all that matters. None of this other stuff that we're going through right now.
Well, I tell you what, look, there's a lot of people saying the same thing. So, for example, Matt Davies says, patience is a virtue. Let's all calm down. Rob Brewer says, totally agree. As a fan base, whether we like it or not, we don't know what's going on behind the scenes. We just have to be patient. Mad Ward has talked about the shit show on social media. He's saying, I've come off socials because I can't be asked to talk. Can't be asked with all the ITK rumour bullshit. Living in pure ignorant bliss. Oh, I wonder what that's like. I also must, again, correct myself. I've made 2 blazing faux pas in reference to the takeover. That's how much I'm fed up with it. I've stopped reading it, I must admit. But Paul Turton has corrected me and said the administrators haven't disclosed who the preferred bidder is. It's all the reporters putting 2 and 2 together. It wasn't specifically named as James Board, was it? Alex Neon Brown has said if Dan speaks, he will be in trouble. That's in reference to an article with Rob Staton and Clive Betts in it. I prefer not to speak. But then this is a great point from My Wild Garden. Why would an elected official make up a load of BS and then knowingly sabotage a takeover that would be to the detriment of a football club that thousands of his constituents support?
Because politicians always speak the truth, don't they?
Yeah, let me broach that one. I don't think this is Clive Betts trying to sabotage a takeover. What Clive Betts is doing, because he's a civil servant, he's a servant of the civility. You know what I mean? He's trying to get he's trying to force some kind of statement, trying to force some kind of update. But bear in mind, he's just a bloke with the job. You know what I mean? Alan from Mexborough could actually go on the radio and say, "Hey, let's have an update." You know what I mean? But because Clive's using his position of authority in terms of the government office that he's in, and he's been around politics for a long time, people know who he is. He's obviously got more clout in the professional world, and he's trying to use that in order to get an update. However, as Simon said, there's a lot of NDAs in place. Let's not start pushing things over the line. I like Mad Ward saying here, let's just wait until it's done. You know what I mean? And then even Phil Byers has said, we all know from our chum at Begbie's that they're checking the source of funds and we will know who the consortium represent. They can't reveal due to the NDA, because that's what NDAs are, non-disclosure agreements. And then we've had a comment here from Jack the Foxhill Howell that I can't read out loud because people have accused me of having some kind of agenda. Go on, Ash. Go on, mate. Yeah, you chuck it up. Go on, yeah.
Staton stirring it up for fans to demand to know who's in the consortium, but legally the club can't. It's just for clicks. There you go. I'll finish with just my little thing on it. Clive Betts is a Wednesday fan. He's wanting to know and using his position to try and get any sort of information out at all. But like you've all said, it's hard because we all want to know. I believe that people thought this was going to be quite a quick thing. There's lots of people want to buy Sheffield Wednesday, so it was going to be all done and dusted by Christmas. It's not looking like that. It's looking like it's probably going to go into something like February, March, or even beyond that now. But people just want to know, and I believe that. I don't know Clive Betts, never spoke to the guy or anything like that. But if he's a Wednesday fan, I'm a Wednesday fan, if I had any sort of position that I could try and use to get information or help, then I'd do that. So I believe he's only trying to do the best, like the person said about My Wild Garden, saying about making bullshit up for his constituents. I believe he's just trying to, but there's ways of doing it. And I suppose going on to Radio Sheffield and putting that out is probably not the best way, misguided way of doing it, but he's trying to get information for thousands of fans. But then I agree, there's NDAs. We all want information. We're all on social media. We're doing this. We'd love information to put on this show, of course. But we've just got to be patient, and patience is not one of the strongest points in this current climate, is it? People need to know or want to know or feel they need to know. But at the minute, Wednesday fans don't need to know jack shit.
Yeah, it's frustrating because, like I say, we're a month past when the preferred bidder status was going to be announced. You know, we've had a comment here from Craig Haywood saying sits just in front of us on the cop, does Clive? Hey, I'll tell you what, Craig, if you do get to speak to him, just give him a nudge on the shoulder and ask him why he went on everybody else's podcast but ours and ignored our email. You know what I mean? Like, what about that? What about them apples? And they could come on and speak to speak to a podcast with 30,000 followers that don't break up the news and talk really slowly that you're forced to pay for because you've got a telly in your house. But I'm digressing. Final bit of news that we've got in Sheffield Wednesday, Will, is that Harry Amass is looking like he's going to get yanked out of Sheffield Wednesday by his parent club, Manchester United. We've got very little information on that there are a number of clubs circling around Harry, and I don't need to go into too much detail about it. He will be a big loss for Sheffield Wednesday. I think the kid has been outstanding for us, and he's got a hell of a future in front of us, in front of him. And I can't help but wish him all the best. And you've got to give thanks to Manchester United as well for paying for literally everything for that man to come and play for the blue and white. I think he's amazing. But listen, that's all we've got time for in the news. But Ashley, you've got a thing.
I have indeed. A couple of weeks ago, we were lucky enough to be donated a couple of tickets to the cup match on Saturday, Brentford. So we put messages out, and a lot of people got in touch via emails, DMs, Facebook messages, all the good stuff, to be put into a hat to draw an adult and a child ticket for the game on Saturday. So if by means of some sort of technology, if I can get this right, we have... look at that. Here we go. We have a little wheel with everyone's name on. So everyone's name's there who got in touch with us, and we'll draw this for the winner for these tickets. And also there's a £10 donation for Pint programme, £10 bet on Brentford to win, whatever you want to use it for. So good luck to everyone, and here we go.
I'm so happy that this music...
And we have a winner. So Laura Dowell, congratulations. You are the winner of 2 tickets and a £10 spend it on whatever you like. There you go. So I will be in touch with Laura. But yeah, congratulations, Laura. I hope you enjoy the match. It'll be great.
I enjoyed everything that was happening there. That was you know what? All that prep was totally worth it. Fred Flintstone has gone with you couldn't give away those tickets live. Could be double figures loss on Saturday, but at least you get to see some goals. You know what I mean? And all the rest of it. From myself,
we literally have just given away those tickets.
Yeah. Come on,
hey, come on! It's only Brentford. They've got no ambition. We'll beat them.
I tell you what, it's annoying because Keith Andrews, right? They've sold all his forward line, and he's doing a right job, isn't he? He's doing a right job. I'm hoping they play the kids because we just watch a load of kids kick the shit out of each other apparently on Saturday. See how that goes. We may have another special announcement, but we're still working out the kinks on one of those as well. Don't forget that the Easter egg collection will also be happening very soon as well. Oh. Ashley's going to be all over that to make sure he's got his central eating off, which is always really fun for me, that I really enjoy. On behalf of Simon, Ash and John and myself, thanks a lot for joining us this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure. And, see you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m, it's the Wednesday Week. Bringing you football analysis.
They said we'll win the league next season.
Bringing you modern references. I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This show's like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that. Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble wobble wobbly wobbly wibble wobble Cyber Jordan. When hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. She.
I don't know where these jokes are coming from. Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there for podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday Week. Join us.
Put on your pod